we still talking about the Beatles? I mean, come on now, they broke up nearly 40 years ago, and yet we're all going gaga about the Beatles rock band video game and the newly remastered CDs, and come on, why do we still care? Well, you know what? There are hundreds of reasons why we still care. Hundreds of reasons why the Beatles are still enormously popular, but ultimately, I think it comes down to three things: the mob, the mythology, and the music. What do you mean by the mob, Bill? Okay, good question. The mob, what do I mean by the mob? I mean the biggest mob in history, the baby boomers. The baby boomers, the largest generation ever. See, here's the thing. It turns out it's the music that we listen to between the ages of 16 and 24 that really kind of defines us musically. It's that 8-year period that kind of becomes our musical home base. We may go on to like other kinds of music, but that's always what we're going to come back to. Well, now here's the thing. See, the first baby boomers were born in 1946. So for them, that 8-year period between the age of 16 and 24, that started in 1962 and went to 1970. That was their home base. 62 to 70, that's exactly the same time that the Beatles were in their prime. Coincidence? I don't think so. So you see, for the baby boomers, the largest mob ever, the Beatles are always going to be home base. They're always going to be huge. Okay, what about the mythology? What do I mean by that? Well, you know, Americans love our myths. We love our icons, our legends, whether it's the Wild Wild West or the Kennedys. Anything that we perceive to be bigger than life, we're fascinated by. And the Beatles certainly fit into that category. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Bill, the Beatles are English. They're not American. That's true. But we've kind of adopted them because it wasn't until they hit America with the Ed Sullivan Show that they really conquered the world. America is what put them on the world map. So we've kind of adopted them as part of America's mythology. And so we love them for that also. But you know, neither the mob nor the mythology explains the amazing crossover appeal of the Beatles. So here's something cool. The Pew Research Group just did a study, a generational study, every generation from age 16 to age 64. And here's what they found out. They found out that, first of all, rock and roll was the most commonly listened to music across the generations. Rock and roll was listened to more than any other kind of music. But here's the really cool thing. It turns out that in every generation, the Beatles were in the top 4. That's amazing. Nobody else came close to that. So how do you possibly explain that? It's not the mob. It's not the mythology. It's the music. The songs are just that good. And here's the amazing thing. See, the Beatles kept pushing the envelope of what you could do with pop music. For example, when this album came out, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, it pushed everything. By the way, I'm sorry, for you kids watching this is called a record album. Big, isn't it? Think of it as a big, scratchy CD. Do you know what we had to do? We had to physically turn it over halfway through. Life was tough in the 60s. You have no idea. But see, even when the Beatles were pushing the envelope of what you can do with music, they still managed to keep it accessible. And how do they do that? I think they did it through melody. No matter what else their songs did, harmonically, rhythmically, structurally, no matter how far out they got, the Beatles virtually always kept them anchored in a strong sense of melody. Listen to this, for example. It's a beautiful melody. The Beatles songs are singable, very singable. Every kid loves singing along to Yellow Submarine. So ultimately, I think that's why we're still excited about the Beatles music and why I think we will be for a lot of years to come.